So imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a vast chasm, unsure if you can make the leap. Most of us, at some point, have felt that same cold grip of failure. We've heard that whisper of doubt. You're not enough. But what if failure isn't the end? What if it's just a bend in the road? What if failure is the soil where our greatest strengths begin to grow? Today we step into a story of transformation, a story of vulnerability, resilience, and the courage to redefine what it means to fall. In a bustling corner of the city, where the aroma of freshly baked bread mingled with the air of ambition, stood a little patisserie called the Sweet Ascent. It was owned by Elara. To her, baking wasn't just a trade, it was art. Her hands created edible dreams, croissants that flaked like autumn leaves, tarts that burst with seasonal fruit, cakes that told stories. Her eyes shone with an indomitable spirit. In every grain, save flour, in every drop of vanilla, she didn't just see ingredients, and she saw potential. She poured every penny, every ounce of perseverance into this shop. It was her dream, a dream of bringing joy one pastry at a time. And at first the dream soared, the clinking of coffee cups, the delighted murmurs of customers, the sweet symphony of success. Her patisserie was alive with possibility, but dreams, like delicate soufflés, can collapse. The city was fiercely competitive. Flashy new cafes appeared, offering trendy but shallow delights. Sales at the Sweet Ascent began to dwindle. Elara worked longer hours. She experimented with recipes, but the magic seemed to fade. One slow Tuesday, after barely breaking even all week, she sat surrounded by unsold pastries. The vibrant colors mocked her. The silence of the empty shop was deafening. Only the hum of the city pressed against the glass. A bitter taste filled her mouth, a taste far from the sweetness of her baking. Was this it? Was her dream destined to crumble into dust like overbaked cookies? Defeat wrapped around her like a heavy cloak, smothering the bright spirit she once carried. And then Mr. Silas walked in, an elderly gentleman with eyes full of decades of wisdom, a loyal customer always ordering the same plain scone. He noticed the tremor in Elara's hands, the slump in her shoulders. "Elara," he said gently, his voice like a balm, "tell me, what makes a diamond truly brilliant?" Elara blinked, bewildered, and shrugged. "Pressure," he continued, "immense, crushing pressure. It's not the absence of pressure that makes it shine, but the ability to withstand and transform it." Then he shared his story. A failed textile business, a mountain of debt, the despair that almost consumed him. "I thought it was the end," he confessed. "The ultimate failure. But a wise old tailor once told me, every dropped stitch is a chance to rethread with stronger fiber." That small comment became a catalyst. It shifted his entire perspective. He realized his business hadn't failed. It had revealed lessons he'd never seen, lessons about market shifts, about adaptation, about his own strengths and weaknesses. "It wasn't a failure," he said softly. "It was an expensive, exhausting, but priceless lesson." He looked at Elara, his eyes twinkling. "What if your current struggles are not the end of your story? What if this is only a demanding chapter, waiting for you to rewrite its climax?" The weight of expectations and self-doubt. Mr. Silas's words planted a seed, but doubt was a stubborn weed. Elara had always measured her worth by success. Now the empty tables and dwindling cash flow felt like a public announcement of her failure. She no longer saw herself as a passionate baker. She saw herself as a failed entrepreneur, a novice, lost among seasoned players. That heavy self-perception began to choke her creativity. She second-guessed every recipe, every design. Baking no longer brought joy, it carried the bitter taste of anxiety. On the surface, she wore a brave face, but inside, she was riddled with doubt. It was the classic imposter syndrome. Despite all evidence of her talent, she feared being exposed as a fraud, and deep down she knew she had to face this inner saboteur. To acknowledge her vulnerability, not as weakness, but as a human truth. Yet even with this realization, a greater challenge still loomed ahead: the fear of change itself. The fear of innovation and change, driven by desperation. Elara knew something had to change. She decided to overhaul her menu, focusing on unique artisanal pastries inspired by local ingredients and the stories behind them. But the fear was paralyzing. What if her creations were rejected? What if bold moves backfired and pushed her even deeper into debt? The weight of these questions pressed on her. With limited resources, every choice felt dangerous. Her fear disguised itself as procrastination, endless tinkering, constant tweaking, but never daring to launch something truly new. Deep down, she realized her old model, though heartfelt, was rigid. The market had shifted. She hadn't adapted fast enough. The comfort of the familiar could no longer lead to growth. To rise again, she had to let go of safety. She had to step into the unknown, a true test of resilience, reconnecting with the why and embracing support. But change wasn't her only battle. Loneliness weighed just as heavily. From the beginning, Elara saw her patisserie as a solo endeavor, proof of her own skill and determination. Yet the burden of carrying it all alone was crushing. She resisted asking for help, afraid it would expose her shortcomings. One evening, her old friend Leo stopped by. A graphic designer with a sharp eye, he saw what Elara could not. The pastries were exquisite, but the packaging was understated. The branding lacked the story that connected her creations to her passion. He offered to help create a new brand identity, to give the sweeter scent not just flavor, but a voice. Elara hesitated. Her pride wrestled with her need. Letting someone into her creative space meant being vulnerable. But then she remembered Mr. Silas's words. Every stitch dropped is a chance to re-thread with stronger fiber. And she realized something profound. Strength isn't always solitary. Sometimes it's found in shared purpose, in collective effort. The Storyteller's Collection, with Silas's wisdom and Leo's creative spark, Elara launched something new. The Storyteller's Collection, a series of pastries, each carrying its own narrative. Tarts made with forgotten local fruits, cakes crafted from heritage grains, desserts that told the stories of farmers, the land and Elara's own journey. The packaging was elegant, not just food but storytelling. She hosted a small tasting event, inviting local bloggers and her most loyal customers. It was terrifying. She was putting her soul on the plate, but then a customer bit into the sun-kissed berry tart. Her eyes lit up with delight. Another listened to the story of the whispering willow cake and smiled. In that moment, Elara felt pure joy, not from selling but from sharing, connecting, telling a story. Her shop no longer felt like a battlefield of failure. It became a canvas where she painted her dreams. Slowly, the empty tables began to fill, not with pity, but with appreciation. Sales, once a trickle, became a steady flow, a testament to her perseverance. The deeper lesson Elara's journey reveals a powerful truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. True strength isn't about being flawless. It's about the courage to be seen, even when you're vulnerable. It's about rising after the fall, dusting yourself off, and daring to look at the path again with new eyes. Setbacks are not endpoints. They are catalysts, sparks that fuel growth and transformation. Just as Mr. Silas learned to re-thread with stronger fiber, Elara learned to bake with deeper purpose. The Sweet Ascent was never just the name of her shop. It was the story of her climb, a journey filled with stumbles, but also with stars waiting to be reached. And here lies the truth. Our greatest triumphs often emerge from our hardest trials, when we dare to see failure not as a period, but as a comma in the grand story of our lives. Your turn, so let me ask you, where in your life have you mistaken a temporary setback for a permanent defeat? What failure are you holding on to that might actually be an opportunity, a hidden ingredient in your own recipe for success? Don't let the fear of falling stop you from climbing. Embrace your journey. Acknowledge your vulnerability. And with an unshakable spirit, dare to rewrite your story. Now I'd love to hear from you. What challenge have you transformed into an ascent? Share it in the comments below. Together, let's inspire each other to see the extraordinary potential hidden inside every ordinary struggle.